Hello, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Breakthrough Show. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas, and today we are celebrating the season 9 premiere of the Breakthrough Show. It's really hard to believe that we've been doing this for 9 seasons, but here we are. This season is called Beyond the Breakthrough because while we often celebrate defining moments in our lives, we don't always pause to explore everything that led us there to that moment or everything that exists beyond it. We are multifaceted human beings, yet so often we're known for one role, one title, or one chapter of our story. This season is an invitation to look a little deeper. Today's conversation is exactly that. It is a chance to move beyond what's visible and explore the mosaic of a life lived with intention, creativity, and courage. I'm honored to welcome my premier guest today. He's an actor, an artist, an incredible storyteller whose work you've seen across screens big and small, but whose story goes far beyond the roles that he plays. Please join me in going beyond the TV screen and welcoming Merrick McCartha. Merrick, I'm so glad to have you here today.
I'm really happy to be here, Jessica. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited to dig in and hear a little bit more about your story. And because I have the privilege of hearing things behind the scenes, knowing your wife, which is super fun. I've heard some things we're going to have to discuss today, Merrick.
Yeah, I'm wondering what those things are myself now, suddenly. All righty.
I love it. I love it. Well, it'll be fun to dig in a little bit. Tell our audience how you came into the world of acting. Have you always been acting since you were young, or did you come to it later on in life?
Professionally, it was later in life. And um, I can go back a bit because it started me growing up as a kid. I grew up in Detroit, Michigan. And I was, pretty shy kid in public. I was really kind of not want to be outgoing at all. And I was in elementary school, and this is kind of what started this. I was in a class. One of the teachers there was trying to have some fun with the class, so he decided he's going to have us each individually come up and do what I now know to be an improv scene, like just make up something, do something, whatever for fun. And I was petrified. I had no idea, none, what to do. I'm scared, and it's suddenly my turn, and I'm up there like against my will. And I get up there, and I don't know what happens. Something just clicked, and I started improvising this scene, and the class is cracking up, and I got like they applauded after, and it was that I think it was at that moment that I understood there's there's something else I have in there, and
Mm,
that was like, oh, I didn't know that was there in me, and it took that teacher pushing me to get up there and look for it, and that's when I first discovered that I had something else, something that I could do, I could bring out and express in myself um, that people could connect with,
right.
and that was the start. Now, growing up in the Midwest in Detroit, Michigan, I was raised in a blue collar household,
Mm,
and I was taught to get a job and work and raise a family, have kids, and repeat. So I didn't pursue it because as far as I knew, acting was just like I'm in Detroit, and I thought it was a fantasy to think I could actually pursue that as a profession. And it wasn't until I found my way out to California as an engineer, and then I had another moment where I'm like, maybe I'll give this a try. I wasn't sure,
mhm.
and I ended up taking part in something called a 48-hour film competition, where you have 48 hours to create a film from start to finish, from writing it to putting it
Wow.
to presenting it as a finished product. And we did that, and that was and then the screening of it is in a real movie theater.
Mm.
So I got a part in this, and it was one of the leading parts in this film. And I saw myself on screen. And after being a film buff for many years, I saw myself up there, and I was like, I feel like I belong up there. It was like, oh, I could do that. That is something that I could probably pull off. And so that kind of reignited that thing in my life where I'm like, okay, I'm at a point in my life. I was, in my 30s, and I said, I don't want to go through my life and wonder what if.
Mm.
And that was really the shift towards looking at this professionally and pursuing it professionally.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would have been, on a cubicle
Who
job
knows?
for the rest of my life.
Right. Right. It's so fascinating, though, to me how a lot of times when people have these breakthrough moments in their adult lives, that they can see that it stems from somewhere in childhood, that something was ignited there. And so I think your story, from the other actors and things that I've had on the show, is very similar in that they were kind of grew up thinking that anything Hollywood was sort of out of reach. Do you ever have moments now where you still don't quite feel like you're there, or is it sunken in for you?
Well, I'll say this: it took me a long time for me to actually say or refer to myself as an
Mm.
actor.
Mm.
Um, and it's I did go through that kind of imposter syndrome at the beginning, because you're starting out. And one thing, when you tell someone you're an actor, they're like, "Oh, what have you been in? What have
Right.
you? So what? You got to suddenly prove yourself." Like, "Oh, really?" Uh, but I did get a couple things, and I knew after a while, was serious about this career. And I talked to a lot of great people, some mentors, and being in the industry. And I realized that, you know what, this is what I do. This is when I'm realizing that this money I'm making at this these acting jobs are paying my bills. I'm like, this is what I do. And I let go of being bashful about saying it. I'm an actor when someone asks
Mm.
me, you know. Um, and when they ask me, what have you been in, I can tell them a lot of things now,
Yeah.
but it's still, before that, it took a minute. So yeah, I had that. Now I think it's a different level for me, because I'm an actor. I've been in lots of stuff. I'm not. This is where the actor neurosis comes in. I'm not a name actor as of yet.
Mm.
And a name actor means that you say their name. Oh yeah, that's the guy from
Mm.
Almost Famous, or that's the guy from A Few Good Men. These are, you can throw out a name. And so now I'm dealing with that a little bit. I'm not letting it bog me down. It's just kind of there.
Mm. I love it. Well, listen, you're you're now a name actor in our house, because
Yes.
you were recently in one of my favorite shows of all time, which is Law and Order SVU. And
Hmm.
so my husband is extra, and he has he has projector we have projectors in that, like, our whole screen, like, wall is a screen. So we might as well be at the movies every time we watch something. And when I heard you were going to be on there, when I tell you, we had it on the whole wall. We had popcorn. We were we had a whole screening over here, and it was such a great moment at the end, because do you feel like that sometimes maybe you don't know, when you get maybe a role that is considered smaller, like how much screen time you're going to get, like what kind of effect you're going to be able to have? What's that been like for you in navigating that?
Yeah, I lots of times, certainly at the beginning, you're auditioning for these really small roles, and you really don't know how they're going to play out once they actually
Mm.
shoot the role. I've auditioned for two-line, what's called co-stars before, and I've gone into audition for small roles, and the casting director said, "You know what? Hold on for a second. I'll be right back," and comes back and gives me a bigger part to read for. I mean,
Mm.
these are things that have happened, so you have a sense of it. Um, but yeah, when you're filming anything now, it's like you don't know what's going to be on the cutting room floor, as they say. Uh, and you're hoping that you get a good amount of screen time or a good amount of work out of it, out of enjoyment out of it. Because there are times, actors go on to work on a show and they find out that, oh, we're cutting that line or we're cutting this whole scene. And so now you're like, oh, okay, I'm just doing, this part. I haven't had it that bad. Well, there was one instance it might have been the first big show that I booked. I booked an episode of Criminal Minds, and it was a small role. I was playing a doctor. I was giving a woman an epidural, and
Nice.
the killer bursts into our room, and I'm kind of freak out, and they suddenly leave. And that was it. And I shot the scene, Criminal Minds. It was great. The people were really nice and wonderful to me, and I was excited. It's my first big TV show role. And I told everybody, my friends, family, I'm going to be a Criminal Minds. This is not a big part, but it'll be, And then a week before it aired, I got a call from casting saying, Merrick, we're really sorry, but we had to cut your scene for time. And I was a little crushed, a bit.
Imagine.
And I had to explain, hey, they're actually cutting my scene. But the casting person's like, hey, really, we're sorry, but we're certainly going to be bringing you back, and we're definitely going to bring you back for much bigger roles than that one. So don't worry, we'll have you back. I'm sure we'll get you into another role that's a better fit because you're a great actor. And true to their word, within like a few months, I was back, and I booked a role that was much bigger. And for the show, I got to act and meet all the cast in this one. It was Joe Mantegna and Charlie Gibson and Shamar Moore, who all of my high school female friends were like, you better get a picture of Shamar. So, and then, Jennifer Love Hewitt was there. It was great. It was a great experience. And that was a really proud time. Yeah. So you never know.
Yeah. I mean, it was so fun. And really, it showed me when we watched you in SVU, it really spoke to me about how much goes into acting other than just the lines that are said. Because there were moments I was texting your wife going, he's giving like really good face. And there was just, you were so expressive and not having to say a word. And so it really took me back to when I used to perform on stage as a child. I loved to act and sing and all of that. And so it took me back there. Like, my coach that I had for acting at the time would be like, just because you don't have a line to say doesn't mean you don't have something to do.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. And as you know, that's it. It's not just saying lines. Acting is also listening. And listening is a skill as well. And it's a skill in that, you are focused and things kind of come out of you as you're listening to people talk that are just natural. You can have a natural, weird expression or something interesting, very slight, which is great for camera. And that plays well. And so, that's one of the things that I got to do in SVU was I'm playing a judge for people that don't know. And so we're listening when the witnesses are coming up to the stand and attorneys are firing things back and forth. I've got to do the overruled. I can do that. But it's like you're listening. And I knew that with going in that this is what I'd be doing is really listening to the testimony, considering it as a judge, how credible I think things are, how proper I think the attorneys are behaving. And so those are the things that went into this. And thankfully, the people at SVU filming this, caught me doing that stuff on the show, even when I wasn't talking. It was just someone else talking and me listening to them, and they kind of put that in there as well.
Yeah. Can't be acting crazy in the background while they're because you never know what they're going to show. I imagine.
You get slack waiting for your line. Oh yeah, and so you can't do that.
Love it. I love it. Well, I want to dig in some more to your story and some of the breakthroughs that you've experienced in your life. We're going to take a super quick break, and when we come back, more with Merrick McCartha. We'll be right back after this.
Breakthroughs are about more than you might think. They're about discovering who you are, digging deep, reaching to the core of your soul. They're about healing. Healing yourself, understanding your beliefs, creating a ripple effect. And it's not just those initial moments that matter. It's about using them to bring more joy into our own lives and the lives of others. It's about having fun, letting loose, enjoying every moment life has to offer. It's about finding a safe space. It's about creating connection. Join us each and every day for exclusive programming, special events, and a community to call home, where we invite you to explore, change the way you look at and live your life, and go beyond the breakthrough. So we ask you, are you ready? We'll see you online at thebreakthroughshow.com.
Welcome back to The Breakthrough Show. We're here with actor Merrick McCartha today. Thank you so much again for being here.
Your promo
I've been
ads
having
are
fun.
So nice, so awesome.
Thank you.
Who put those
Thank
together
you.
for you? They're really, really good.
Thank you so
You do
much.
that yourself?
Yeah,
Wow.
I do. I really enjoy, the creativity of getting to like take bits and pieces of things and put them together. Maybe there's a little director in my heart somewhere. I don't know,
Maybe.
but who knows? Anyway, it's so funny because for Christmas we got together with some friends, and we're always talking about nostalgic things and things that we love, and from decades ago. And she got me, and I'm so mad I did not bring it to show you. It's a little gavel, and when you hit it, it plays the SVU dun dun.
So here's a little known fact about Law and Order. They don't like the judge to bang the gavel. They never
Really?
Yeah, I had a gavel there, and I was kind of messing around with it, and someone came by and said, "Oh, by the way, you never bang the gavel." I'm like, "What? That's the thing. I can't." He's like, "No." He's like one of the high ups hates it, so don't ever do it. I'm like, okay.
Okay, that's why I would have never get. They were probably don't touch the gavel.
Don't bang the gavel. Yeah.
I love it. Well, one of the things that I love exploring on this show is how the moments that we call breakthroughs don't often look like, big fireworks when we're living them. And so I would love to take some time and go back and talk to you about some of the moments where things have really shifted for you in your life, whether it was that time where you came into, realizing this is for sure what I want to do, and maybe some of the things that were going on behind the scenes. Like, what were you really going through as you were making that sort of transition into actor life?
Oh, it was my late mother had just passed away, which is really impactful for me, and she was one of the main people in my life that saw me as a kid up on perform like that before as a kid, and she was like, you should really try that. You should go into trying acting. She always encouraged me to go for what I really wanted. And when she passed away, she was relatively young, and it was a hard thing. And after that, in that grieving process for her, that's when I said, I don't want to live my life and not know or wonder or ever regret doing the thing that I know I'm able to do. And so that kind of drove me into getting into the 48-hour film competition, because I didn't know And I was living in San Diego at the time, which has some industry presence down there, but not a lot. But I had no inroad to get into it or to who to talk to. And I was doing that one film. I met some lifelong friends who were talented industry people, actors, directors who I love dearly and I'm dear friends with to this day. And that, that was what was kind of going on behind the scenes. And then aside from that, as I moved forward to really pursue it, finding an agent, which was a struggle, I was in San Diego, like I said. And so one of the first things I found was a commercial agent. And when you audition for things in LA, you've got to go that time, you've got to go in person to the audition. And so I was driving from San Diego to LA for these auditions. And it's like a 2-hour, sometimes 3-hour drive each way. And it's insane when I say it now. It's insane, but I did it many, many times pursuing this. And it was like an emotional and psychological struggle, because imagine driving 3 hours to get to an audition, and many times they're lasting 15 minutes, maybe. And then getting back in car and realizing you're driving right back down. And that was it. That was your day, And so, there's a couple of times when I'm driving up and I get to the audition, do the audition, and however I feel about it, I get out to my car and I like break down in like tears, because it's like, this is what I want to do. And I'm doing this because this is what I want to do. And it really tested my desire for this, my resilience for this. Right. And, of course, after doing that a few times, and to the point where I was having auditions 2 and 3 times a week, it made no sense for me to stay in San Diego.
Right.
Someone that the industry was wanting to see more and more. And so I moved up and I didn't have to do that. But starting out, not knowing and just kind of trying to try it out, that was something I did for a while. And not many people are willing to do, which I understand. It's insane. It's an insane pursuit, acting. But it's what I knew I had to do if I was really going to get into this industry. And that's what I did.
Yeah. It's amazing, because even in my own life, as I look back on things, I make these, grand declarations. This is what I want to do, and it's great and wonderful. And then life has a way after that declaration of asking you the question, how bad do you really want this? And, going through sort of the challenges and the uphill battles and all of that to get there. Do you still have moments where you find yourself in a space of frustration, or has it just been so easygoing and amazing every day from then on when you moved to LA?
Oh yeah, I just sit back, wait for my phone to ring, and it's ringing off the hook. I just no, it's interesting. So I don't want to go too far into this, because we'll make this a 2-hour show for you. But there's a couple parts to acting. There's the acting, which is your craft, which you want to express as a person, as an artist. And then there's the business of acting. And a lot of times people have this focus on just the acting part, which is wonderful. But when they're trying to work at it, they have no knowledge of the business part of it. And so that's kind of, understanding that it can be the challenge. Yeah, I'm forgetting where I was going with it.
Well, I mean,
I'm live here.
that's part of what we're talking about a lot of on this season of the show, is that so many times people and things and circumstances are presented with one particular view, one thing that people see. They don't understand all of the layers and all of what's required and people's journeys and all of these things that go on behind the scenes. And so my goal this year is really in uncovering some of that, so that
Mhm.
we're not sitting back thinking something exists in a way that it doesn't, or that we're all just one faceted, human beings, and that's not the way that works.
No, you're right. Yeah, with acting to be a working actor in a sense where you're trying to make money doing it, because there's a whole other world of acting where people just like doing it. They'll do community theater, they'll do theater, they put on their own plays, and that's great. They got other things that they means for money they don't need to make money from. They just like doing it, and they're fantastic people. Um, so when I chose this other path was I want to make a real career out of it where I'm actually earning a living doing it because that's all I want to do. So that's why I do it. But yeah, it's this, this other part that you've got to understand, not just the craft, which is fantastic, but how to navigate this industry, which can be, and there are certain things that are standard, like, oh, this is how it works, and you don't know that, you didn't know that going in. You
Mm,
got to figure that out. And then there are other things that are like, oh, I can try to make my own way in it and come up with something that's new and different and interesting that I know will work within, the world that I'm dealing with. And that's always exciting too. So I try to revel in both those things,
mm,
reveling in the business aspect of it. Certainly, my wife is a very business savvy person in general, just marketing and everything. And so she helps me tremendously with this. But I find a lot of enjoyment out of this. Um, navigating, and it's like there's paperwork. There's a lot of, I was reading through a contract for something for a job I'm doing, and I've got a routine when I'm setting up my auditions, how I got to print out things, have like a checklist to make sure I have all these items covered. It's like, it's kind of that, feels like office work in a sense, but I'm working for myself. It's my business.
right.
And then I get into the creating part, and that's the end goal of that. But yeah, it's a lot of things that go on with being an actor, and you're not just sitting waiting for your phone. You've got to um, uh, still, like, I have multiple representatives, agents,
Mm,
managers, and I have them. We work as a team, and I'm communicating with them. I am making sure that they have what they need. They're telling me if they need anything from me. We have these things. We're working together, and it's just a lot going on that side of it as well. It's and we're business partners in that sense as well. So a lot of that goes on. Um, to propel my career. So I'm not just sitting
right.
ever.
You're not
I'm
just
always working on something. If I don't have an audition, I will find something to put on tape as an audition for myself. I
Mm,
have lots of different scripts that I have laying around. People have given me, and I'll say, "Oh, I want to. How would I have auditioned for that part?" And I will go and make my own audition. If I don't have an audition, I will make one that day. I don't go a day without acting, and
mm,
that, I think that's part of it. You're always growing as an actor
yeah.
as well. So you're never going to sit around, or you shouldn't just try to sit around. I
Mm,
mean, you want to enjoy life, sure,
yeah.
but make sure building your skills is always something that you're working on.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that because I was telling a story the other day about my grandfather, and he used to say to me, dress for the part you want.
Hmm.
And he didn't just mean in clothes.
Hmm.
He meant, fill the space with how you want your life to be. And I imagine if you want to be an actor, even if you don't have a role on the books, you're going to be acting, and that's how you dress for the part you want.
Exactly.
That.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that's exactly how I do it. I feel like one of my next goals is to be a series regular actor on a TV show. And
Mm,
so what do? They work every day. They're working every day. So I need to live my life and like I'm working as it, because it's when it happens, I need to be ready for it, for one,
yeah.
and for two,
Yes.
having that energy, that connection, that thing, and you doing it, that just draws it closer to you. That's my thought.
Mm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's funny, back in season 4, I had Dee Wallace on the show, and we were talking about her early days in Hollywood and how she would go to these parties and just walk up to people that she had no idea who they were and be like, "Hi, I'm Dee Wallace and I'm an actress." She didn't know that you weren't supposed to do that at these things. And so, have you had any moments like that where you've sort of you've learned your lesson in Hollywood about how things are done?
Um, well, first of all, Dee Wallace is awesome. I've met her. She's a
She's
fantastic
fantastic.
person, and she's got a fantastic career and great. Uh, I learned it, but I don't think I stepped in it learning it. Like
Mm.
saw someone else do it and learned it, how to approach things in the business world of acting. I'm thinking of one in particular. Uh, there's always people that are trying. I've seen people try to chase down casting directors in public, like yelling their
Mm.
name, and the casting person's like, "What's going on?" Because people think, "Oh, I just gotta meet this right person. They're gonna make it all happen for me." And I think that's really not the best way to go about it because, it's about connection, sure, and building a relationship, sure, but there's no one person.
Mm.
You're building your body of work and putting that out there, making that speak for you to the multitudes of people out there that can make decisions to advance your career. So sure, being nice and meeting someone and making that connection is great, but it's not like, oh, this one person's going to do it, because when you do that, you're also kind of opening the door to the idea that this one person could take it away, and that's not true either. So
Mm.
yeah, these are lessons you learn. Um, there's lots of jokes about actors and at parties and coming up trying to meet people. I haven't made that mistake. I mean, if anything, I I struggle with not fanning out and meeting new actors when I'm working with them
Mm.
that are like legendary actors.
Yeah.
Like I've like worked with Angela Bassett or Don Lewis or Joe Mantegna, or Shamar Moore. Even it was like a weird. How do you do it? So funny thing about the Shamar Moore story with Criminal Minds, the episode I worked on with him, he wasn't in my scenes. We weren't acting in a scene together, but he was on set. And so I had at that day he hadn't gotten there yet, and I was like meeting the cast and really cool. And Joe Mantegna's taking me around. He's like just really taking me under his wing with the set and having a great time. So we're taking pictures, and I'm taking pictures of the cast, and I see Shamar Moore sitting down, and I'm thinking, okay, if I don't get a picture with this man, there's women that I went to high school with that are going to kill me.
I can see that.
So,
I can see
yes. And he's the big handsome dude on the show. So, and I'm trying not to look like an idiot in front of Shamar Moore. So I'm kind of sort of, not bashful, but kind of like, casual. Hey, can I? And I'm really actually scared. I'm like, this is weird. I'm an actor. I got paid to like he is. I get paid to be there. And so I'm like, hey, do you? And he's like, oh yeah, of course, man, no problem. And takes a picture with me. And it's a great photo. But it's one of those things I still struggle with, is meeting people that I respect and admire that are stars, and how to behave
Mm.
with them and not feel, not behave like an idiot.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
trying to sit back and relax, and I go, that's Anthony Hopkins. So what do you do? What do you do? So
Yeah. Yeah. It's so funny. We go to 90s Con every year. I don't know if your wife told you about this, but
yeah.
it's 3 days in Hartford, Connecticut, and there's a lot of celebrities there. And it's so funny sometimes to go and meet someone like at their table or whatever that's such a part of your childhood. And then we'll leave the table and they'll break for lunch or something, and they're like going to the restroom and going to sit down and eat. And my husband goes into the restroom, and in walks Mario Lopez. They're just having this whole conversation in the bathroom. And
Mhm.
it's just this moment. But it's really in those moments I've gotten such an opportunity to see that this Hollywood world that always seemed so out of reach and so on another planet, everybody's a human being. They do human being things, and most of them are so easy to talk to, and it's not I get to do that every now and then on the show with people like yourself, and it makes me feel like we're closer together. It's not as far away as I once pictured it.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And you find that out too, that and we're all people, we're all going through it life. And I don't know an actor that I've met, even the bigger ones, that, are just dealing with regular life stuff. This myth that actors are just sitting back, floating on a carpet somewhere. It's like not real, not real. So, yeah.
Well, I have some quick questions to ask you that go into our show today. We're going to go and take one more quick break. And when we come back, we're going to have some fun before we close up the show. More with Merrick McCartha right after this.
Caldwell Williams, on April 4th, I was 90 years old, grandson of slaves. My parents were first generation free. A long time ago, I embraced the definition of love. Love is the experience of well-being. And a friend is one who mutually shares that experience of well-being with you, which opens up almost infinite creative possibilities.
In 2024, I had the incredible honor of a beautiful conversation with 26 adults from around the globe, which began with the following question: what does friendship mean to you?
Someone who is there to support you, someone who is willing to go through the ups and downs of life with you.
Connection, but also the opportunity for learning and deeper connection.
If I don't talk to that person for 2 months, we pick up the phone like we've never stopped talking. To me, that is what a friend is.
Friend to me is someone I can share my joys, also the struggles I have.
Friend means somebody that you can talk to and that you can trust.
So a friend to me is actually someone really, really close, an inner circle person.
And I think it's an important discussion to pass on to other generations so they don't get caught being lonely at the end because they haven't thought about friends in different ways.
On this Friendsgiving, we're celebrating the anniversary of this incredible film by inviting you to share it with a friend. Join us for the release of our newly remastered edition of The Friendship Paradox.
I need your shoulder. I need you, friend. No wise words or reason. I just need someone I can depend on. 'Cause I'm crumbling and slowly falling. Can you catch me?
Welcome back to The Breakthrough Show. We're here with actor Merrick McCartha, straight from Hollywood.
That's right. Where are my sunglasses?
Limousine assistant.
That's right.
I love it. All right. So we are doing a segment this season called The Mosaic of You. And these are questions that get a little bit below the surface and maybe learn some new things about each other. So number one, what is something people assume about you that isn't actually true?
Ooh. People assume that I'm very uptight. Like a stick in the mud, like a stick up my, people assume that I'm like Mr. Hoity-toity a lot. And I don't
Do you
know
think
why.
that's just because of the actor thing, or like?
No, it's before I was an actor. People thought that about me, way before, and I I think for one, I'm kind of quiet, and I've always been someone to kind of observe my surroundings and really just be curious about what's going on and not talk a lot. And a lot of times I'm in environments where people are like, oh, they gotta talk. And there's lots of people out there that they've got to keep talking because that's how they think they're maintaining connection or whatever. And I'm like, I'm fine just being quiet. And I think that because I don't think I have like a resting, stick in the mud face or nothing. I just feel like I kind of quiet. I think people just assume that there's, like I think I'm better, which I don't.
Something going on with that one.
So yeah, that's one thing people assume that's not really true at all.
Yeah, I love that. All right. Outside of your work, what brings you back to yourself the fastest? What makes you feel the most grounded?
Music, maybe. Music. Yeah, back to myself. So I grew up in Detroit, Michigan. Very musical household. My parents were, big into the Motown sound. And then growing up there, lots of pop artists, and I got like really in a mix of between Prince and alternative and like new R&B. I had all that stuff coming at me. So when I hear music, kind of brings me back to that because that really kind of grounds me back to who I am as this person that's compassionate, soulful, emotional, and and working to be in touch with what I'm feeling. So yeah, that music does it usually. So if I'm driving, like I'll drive to an audition and I'll have music playing because it kind of gets me into my natural, mode and energy, and that does usually help me with an audition. Is I've come in with that energy of being myself.
Okay, side bonus question then. Could you ever see yourself playing in a musical or a musical role?
I cannot well, I'm not a trained singer. I can say sounds that I would call singing, but I don't think anyone else can call it singing. So I can't say I'd see myself in a musical. Not as of yet, but thank you.
You could work on it. You could
I could work on it.
I love to stretch yourself, Merrick.
Yeah, good. That's true. That's true.
All right. I know you've mentioned a couple, but are there any other moments in your life? Is there a standout moment in your life that changed you, perhaps more quietly, but not publicly?
Oh, good question. Changed me quietly, but not publicly. It's hard. I refer. We're talking about the acting career space mainly. I think there's lots of times, lots of moments in my career where I have been faced with the challenge with doing the work on set. The time that I went into, so I have these scenes that I'll do on camera for shows, for TV shows, and I'll sometimes go back and look at it and go, oh man, I could have did that differently or better, had, and lots of actors do that. I think one is when I was on a show called 911. It's an action procedural. It's like an action series with like fire trucks, and it's shot in Los Angeles, and it stars Peter Krause and Angela Bassett. And so I booked a role on this show, nice size role. And my first day on set on this show, my scenes are with Angela Bassett and Dawn Lewis, who are both big stars. And I was very nervous, and I'm not usually nervous. I usually go, and I might be nervous about, taking a photo with you, but I'm not nervous about doing the work. And I think that working with Angela Bassett, who I know is just a consummate professional, well-trained Yale drama actress. And I think either intimidation or just being in awe of her and of Dawn kind of threw me a bit. And I think that changed me in that I knew that I had to always remember that I'm also a trained actor, and that and to communicate, because I think we got along well. She's a very wonderful woman. She's very demure in a lot of ways, and great to work with. She was very professional with me. She's also the executive producer on that show as well. So, and the other person in the shots with me for this first scene was Dawn Lewis, who I met. There's a difference between this. I met Dawn Lewis. We were getting makeup and hair done in the makeup and hair trailer. And Dawn Lewis is this wonderful, she's been a stage and screen actress for years and years. And she's getting the makeup done. She's telling, I want this specific or that specific thing. And I'm looking at her going, oh, wow. She's like really like giving exactly what she wanted. I'm just like, hey, I'm happy to be here. And so when they got to me and they're like, hey, Merrick, so any preferences? Oh, yeah. I want to look as good as Dawn Lewis, if that's okay. And so she cracked up at that, and so we were instant friends from that point. And really, we're just casual and hung out a lot on set, and we worked together for the show. But it was interesting that working with Angela Bassett was a different thing than working with Dawn Lewis, in that even the times they were in the same shots with me in the same scene, I was initially intimidated. And I feel like that kind of brought me to this idea of there's still a little remnants of imposter syndrome going on. Am I good enough to be on camera with Angela Bassett? Clearly I was, and I didn't come into that, I think, at least that first scene. We did other scenes together where we were just great. But that first scene, it was like, this is years ago, so I hadn't done as much as I have done now. But at that point, it's like, bam, you're in it. This is it. You're with the big star. What you got? And I feel like I was a little intimidated. So that changed me in that into what I do now, which is what we talked about, which is be prepared. Preparation is always going to help you. And I wasn't as prepared as I could have been, I would say, and that kind of made that intimidation more intense, that being in awe. And also because I wasn't doing the things that I do now, which is every day working on something. And I think that was probably the quiet change that people don't see. Peggy sees it, my wife sees it, but that's what I'm doing. And that's what I'm focused on, is always being ready, having this skill level ready and being prepared.
That imposter syndrome is a real thing. It's such a real thing.
Yeah.
I like, even with this show, we've been doing it for 8 years, 9 seasons, and I still have moments where I'm like,
the show's fantastic. Are you kidding me?
Doing?
I'm looking at seeing your stuff and wow, this is great. This is fantastic.
Thank you. I think we all have those moments. Even when my kids come to me and they're like, this feels like bigger than me, and it's like, we all feel this, right? We all experience this feeling. All right. So what part of your life, we'll call it, gets the least screen time that you wish you had more time for?
That I wish I had more time for?
Yeah. What do you wish you had more time for?
Oh, I always want more time with my amazing wife. I do. And my wife works with me on these self-tapes. She's a photographer, videographer, so she's taping me. Almost always the person reading with me on these self-tapes. So we work on this. I'm doing the figuring out how the things are going to go in the scene, but she reads with me. But we're both busy. She's a busy businesswoman, and I'm always, working in the acting track. And we have these wonderful kids. We now have a couple of grandkids, and I think that's one of the goals, is being in the career where I can take a month or 2 off, and her and I go to Europe, or go, to Australia or something, just to kind of relax and just hang out, and just otherwise doing more things together, I think. But yeah, I love that about my life, that she's with me, and I think I just always want more time with her.
Yeah. She's pretty great. She's pretty
Yeah.
great. We're going to make sure we're both getting bonus points here on the show today as we have this conversation.
Yeah.
All right, final question. If someone only knew you for your career, what would you want them to understand about Merrick the human being?
That maybe that just I'm really laid back, I guess. That I'm really laid back and wanting to help people. I think a lot of times people think, oh, I don't want to approach this actor or new actors, and I'm always there to help. Like, hey, I'm trying to ask you this, but I'm like, yeah, let me help you with that. That's something I actually know about. So yeah, I think I'm more laid back. If they only know my career, I think they see me as either a cop, a doctor, or a dad on something. And I feel like, yeah, I'm actually just kind of a goofball as well, aside from all that.
Yeah, that's so nice to hear because all of the roles that I've seen you so far have been so serious and so but we did have a moment as well where an event that your wife was doing, we got to hear you do a monologue during the end of the event and it was that was an in your face, like you should have gotten an Oscar, an Emmy, and all of it just for that performance there. But then you were like, you just literally, it was like, and scene, and then you're laughing and you're having a good time. So sometimes I think it's hard for people to see an actor, outside of the typical roles that they see them play.
That's right. And one thing about acting too, and I'm not sure how many people think about this, but actors play these roles that are very different from how they are in real life. And the key is that no matter what the role is for the actor, the task is to find what's happening in that role that's true for you as an actor. So when I'm playing that serious guy or the guy that might be yelling or the person that's, really emotional. I may not be like, always like that on an everyday thing, but that's in there. And it's about bringing that out, finding that true. Even if it's a villain, people are like, oh, the show I did Countdown, oh, you're this great villain. I'm like, oh, I wasn't playing a villain. I was playing me, what I wanted as that person, which in the script and the storyline plays as villainous. But me, I had really earnest things, desires, needs that I had to get to as that character. And I could connect with them. They were real things that I feel and brought that out. And that's when it's good. Is when you can bring out something that's true about you into the role that comes across and just fits nicely with what that role's trying to, the part of the story that role's trying to bring to the audience. So yeah, it's part of it. My wife Peggy has a fun story. It's about meeting when we first met, and I told her I was an actor. She said, "Oh, so you basically lie for a living? How could I trust you?" I said, "Oh, no, honey. Any good actor knows that good acting is actually about telling the truth. That's what acting is." So she's still that stuck with her because it's true. It's like it's about being truthful. About being truthful.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Love that. I was watching an interview yesterday with one of the newest, and her name slips me right now, one of the newest actresses on Bridgerton. And she plays the villain in this season. And they were asking her, like, how did you get to play this role? Because we've never seen you in a role like this. And she's like, it's really surprised me how easily it came to me being the villain. And it made me laugh so hard. It's just that unexpected. You've always sort of played this one character, whether it's, on stage or in life. And then when things change, you're like, oh, that came a little bit easier than I thought it was going to.
Yeah. And it's fun. It's like you're letting out these things that are deep inside yourself. You're letting that out. Everyone has these things, all this range of motivations and feelings and, good and bad that, on the social scale they're all here, and we suppress it or we hide it, or we're like, hey, that's not useful for my life, I don't do that. But when it comes to acting, this is when you can say, oh yeah, that thing I never did, I want to do that. And that's when it comes out. And that's true, because it's really you. That's the true part of you. And that's what makes it beautiful and wonderful and amazing and gratifying for me as an actor.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we are almost up with our time today, but I would love for you to share, if you're able, any projects you're working on, anything you're looking forward to as an actor this year. What do you have going on, Merrick?
Well, again, as a working actor, so I do TV shows, films, commercials. There are a couple of commercials that are running now that you can see me in. There are more coming. I'm going to shoot one next week. That's another commercial. There is a TV show that's coming. I don't know if I should say, well, it's been announced, so I'll say it. There's a new show called A Different World that is sort of a pickup of the original show, A Different World, from the 80s and 90s.
Okay.
And I'm playing the principal or the president of Hillman College as Curtis McLeod. So that will be, at least in the pilot episode, we're still, it just got actually picked up recently. We're still working out the filming of that. If I'll be back on the show, if so, how often, these things are being worked out. So, but I should be at least in the pilot whenever that airs. So I'm excited, very excited to be a part of that TV history, that TV legacy, that representation of historically Black college and university on television. Very excited to be part of that. So yes, so commercials and at least this great show, and there are a few other things that I'm looking at doing as well.
Very nice. And we're looking for, I'm putting the vibes out there for you to do more jobs out here on the East Coast, so then you can bring Peggy with you, and then we can go out to dinner. We can have a whole night.
Well, tell your husband, Law and Order SVU as a judge, they actually recur. I'm a recurring judge on the show. They don't have judges typically just pop in for one case and disappear. They have them back because it's like, hey, this is a real city. They have judges that they're going to see again. Right. So I'll be back, I'm sure. In fact, the episode I did the first time I did it ended with my case being continued or on to another date. So we'll see when that happens. So I'll be out there, I'm sure.
It'll be great. Merrick, thank you so much for spending time with us here today. And we, of course, would love to have you back another season and get caught up and all of that fun stuff. And lots of luck, though you don't need it, for all of your endeavors in 2026. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Really great being here.
All right, everybody. So season 9 is about remembering that none of us are just one thing, not a role, not a title, not a single moment of success or struggle. Today's conversation is a powerful reminder that there is always more to the story, more depth, more becoming, and more truth than what meets the eye. Thank you for going beyond the breakthrough with us today. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas. This is Merrick McCartha, and we want to remind you to make every day a great day for a breakthrough. And we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.